We saw a compensation framework established by the president again over this weekend, and we saw President William Ruto Raila Odinga make certain statements in that regard at the burial service of Phoebe Asio in Homa Bay. But the opposition has taken the view that it should be the KNCHR which should undertake the compensation process, because their argument is that the executive is a person who stands accused and therefore cannot oversight the compensation process. Your thoughts, Fred?
Very briefly, if you allow me, there are certain facts that we must put into perspective.
You want to take us back to...
No, I'm not taking you back, okay, but for the benefit of the viewer. The Hustler Fund, I think it's a good fund. And I've seen civil society groups coming out to discredit it. But the facts are that today this fund is disbursing over 68 million daily. Number two, the fund has created a credit score. For those who never had any credit score, today you can put them on the table and say, this is your credit score and this is how you can benefit from loaning. Number three, there is a program that the president talked about. It's called NYOTA, National Youth Opportunity Towards Advancement, that is targeting the ages of 18 to 35. This program is going to target every youth that are identified right from the wards. And they've been given some money, around 50,000, to start their lives and build on how they can sustain themselves towards opportunities of employment. So if you ask me, all these programs tied together with the empowerment that you're talking about are helping Kenyans. And then the 26 million Kenyans today now have what's called credit visibility. It means that Hustler Fund is working. Yeah. Now, let me go back to what you are saying. And by the way, all these are done through the Ministry of Cooperatives and, small...
All we are saying is give them more money. Don't put it. Give them more money.
Honorable Oparanya, under the PS in that department is Susan Mangeni, and they're doing a good job. We appreciate. Now, the compensation element, I have seen people argue that, why are you now going through Office of the Executive or Executive of the President? Why don't you give it through Kenya National Human Rights Commission? The same people, when we were with them, they said that we must compensate all the victims of demonstration and protest. When it is happening, they discredit it. Remember, this is one of the issues that Raila Odinga has been fighting for. Raila Odinga has been, I think Raila Odinga is one of the most consistent politicians in the post-independence politics, because he has said that those families that lost their loved ones right from 2017, 2022 must be compensated. And he has always called the government out when he has to call them. The police brutality that was meted on the protesters when we were demonstrating on the cost of living in 2023, we know there's so many Kenyans who died in Kisumu, Migori, Kirinyaga, all over. They must be compensated. Those protesters, they were not only supporters of Ruto, they were not only supporters of Gachagua, they were not supporters of Raila, they were Kenyans. Number two, the compensation is a good step. While compensation cannot bring back life, but it's a good step. It is the requirement of law that the president must ensure that certain things happen through the power is given in the Constitution. One of them is this, that and I just want to read for you one of the, so that we align. Olive, in Article 131, and law knows this, the functions and powers of the president. The president can direct and coordinate the functions of ministries and state organs and make proclamations in the national interest. The proclamation that was made by President last Friday on the issue of compensation, to me, is an issue of national interest. Everyone has said that what is the government doing to ensure that they address the issues that are affecting those who are killed, their families, those who are maimed, their families, and themselves. The starting point is redress through compensation. Then the president designated Professor Makao Mutua as the principal coordinator. I've also seen people argue that, there's already a committee. I don't think so. I think that invites stakeholders to the table and agree on how that will be implemented. The president has shown goodwill. Let's take advantage of the goodwill. Lastly, this compensation should not end at compensation alone. It should also end at justice. What is the justice that we're going to find for these people? Because compensating alone is not justice. We must go to the root cause. Those who are found culpable for having killed, having maimed, should face full force of the law.
Okay.
And I'm happy today as we speak, there are inquests going on, there are people who are in the dock, there are people who are being tried on the same. So let's appreciate what is happening. Let's not just play politics every time.
Your thoughts. And one of the questions that has arisen for me is the government has disputed some of the figures that have been given by the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights and other civil society stakeholders. And KNCHR is a constitutional commission. So what then becomes the starting point?
First of all, the Kenya National Human Rights Commission in this country is the body mandated to deal on human rights issues. Why the issue of the president saying that he has appointed this institution to oversee the issue of compensation is in dispute, and why we are saying that the president, the issue of compensation is welcome, one, because it has been talked about. Those who are aggrieved raised the issue of compensation. And by the way, it's not a Raila issue, it was raised by people themselves. The young people, and even in their discussions, have always said that the issue of compensation must come in. But remember, Martin Luther said there can be no peace without justice. So you don't leave it at the compensation, get to the root of it. But most importantly, why would the president want the Ministry of Interior to be involved in that process? Why? The Ministry of Interior is not suspect. Yes, it is coordinated by the Attorney General, Ministry of Interior,
yes,
and Treasury.
Yeah, you're right. The Executive Office of the President shall discharge this mandate in collaboration with the Office of the Attorney General, Ministry of Interior and National Administration, and the National Treasury.
Those who have gone to court, number one, they are going against, in court, the Attorney General. Ministry of Interior is the accused. Treasury has the major role, but in terms of the issues that happened during the protest, Treasury has no role. I agree Treasury must be there because it is government money that is going to be spent. Delete Ministry of Interior. Remove completely. They are the reason why we had the problem. Why people have been killed, they are part of the problem. And by the way, if somebody, the person who oversees that ministry right now says, shoot to kill, I have orders from above, and you want to entrust them with the role of compensation, that's a joke. You cannot.
Who said shoot to kill, I have orders from above?
I mean, Murkomen said that.
Yeah.
You're not aware?
No, let's get the facts.
Shoot to kill, I have orders from above?
No. Let's get the facts right. There are two statements that have been made at the highest level. One from the Ministry of Interior, the CS Interior, ordering police to shoot. The other one
is actually in the
president.
I think it's Nelson Koech who talked about.
Well, the other one is from the president himself saying, shoot in the leg. So those two statements are in the public.
Okay, so as I conclude, when such statements have come from the ministry, the president himself has said shoot on the leg. Then you want to say you will entrust them on the issue of compensation. And by the way, the figures that the government has are not the figures that the Kenya National Human Rights Commission has. Particularly on the last protest on the 25th and on the 7th. 100% dispute. But most importantly, remember that the issue of compensation, it's a very emotional issue. These are people who are saying, I lost my child. I lost my loved one. You cannot tell them to come to the Ministry of Interior. The same ministry that probably has caused the death of their loved one. Kenya National Human Rights Commission is it's an umpire. It's a go-between the people and the government. It is just common sense that the president would have involved the ministry. Even if not 100%, they should be there. They should help verify. Why not bring in AMREF who are coming in to save people? They have something they know about what happened. And I know it is suspect. For me, it is suspect when you put in the Ministry of Interior in this issue. While we agree that compensation must be done, we disagree in the manner in which it's going to be done.
All right.
And I also want to remind them,
have 2 minutes.
in the budget, they have not placed the money. as we speak
So,
today.
I mean,
Yeah. No, I just want to speak to this issue of compensation because what I believe is this, that first of all, I was going to tell Mheshimiwa Ngongoyo that actually the Ministry of Interior should be involved. Why? They know how many people died because they are the ones who deployed the police. But having said that, I want to come back to the real issue. The real issue here is Article 21 of the Constitution and Article 26 of the Constitution. And here is what Article 21 of the Constitution says, and Sub-Article 1. It is a fundamental duty of the state and every state organ to observe, respect, protect, promote, and fulfill the rights and fundamental freedoms in the Bill of Rights. Then Article 26 talks about every Kenyan has a right to life. Now, those are the highest expectations on any government. So we cannot preside over the death of Kenyans and in the same mouth talk about how to compensate those Kenyans. Nothing can compensate a life that is lost. So the first thing we should do, protect the life. Do not take away the life.
Okay.
Having said that, we also need to agree on the frameworks. For example, earlier on we were talking about the accidents and so on. As a matter of fact, there is a law and even a case that actually outlaws buses, school buses from transporting members of the public who are not students. So again, you are losing lives that cannot be compensated because no insurance is covering this. Similarly, the lives we've lost through the demonstration and so on, the first thing we should have done is to protect those people from any harm. We would not be talking about compensation. The other thing we have not talked about, what is the economics we're dealing with here? First, how many people did we deploy as security to go ahead, shoot, kill? How many people have we killed? Now, how much can we compensate? So this is not economics, that you go, first of all, deploy people, deploy police, spend so much money, then kill, then now talk about compensation. What kind of money do we have in this country that never runs out?
Okay. Mheshimiwa Susion, last word on
this. To reinvent, to deconstruct and dismantle what has already been done for the good of the country is wrong. It is not progressing the country. The president has signed a proclamation for compensation. And so that is not going to be reversed. And how it's being done, the structure in place involving Treasury, Ministry of Interior, AG, if Kenya National Human Rights Commission would like to be part of it, so be it. I believe this is a process that is going to be thoroughly audited because we cannot have some Kenyans grieving in pain without the government addressing it. And by the way, this is part of the 10-point agenda that was signed between United Democratic Alliance and Orange Democratic Movement, and it is getting to the implementation stage, and I think we should only look at the gaps. Is anybody going to be left out? And what is the level of compensation? And how much money is going to be devoted to this? I think for the first time we should agree, as a country that believes in constitutionalism, the Bill of Rights and rights of people, where people have lost life and deserve compensation, let it be done. And it is being done. And the president has signed it. I think this is something that we should welcome and ensure that every Kenyan who deserves to be compensated is really and truly compensated. The Ministry of Interior is seized with security data of the country.
Okay.
And I don't think Kenya is a secret country. We no longer run government of secrecies. This is open information.
Okay.
We are an open country, and we can check who has been compensated and who has not. So to me, this is a fundamental step forward. It's a milestone in the fulfillment of justice and human rights for the people of Kenya. And never again should such lives be lost.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa. I agree with you on that. All right, so thank you for sharing your sentiments. Najua nimepeleka rakaraka on the compensation issue kidogo, but it is now time for Sporty Monday, and Swila is busy making faces at me. All right, let's take a look at the feedback quickly. Sir Nixon Ndugire, what beats the logic is seeing the youths leaving State House by the same buses that brought them instead of riding the empowerment motorbikes back home. Kwani kunaendaje? All right, this is Babu Michael, who says the so-called economic empowerment may be a good idea to some, but being this is Kenya, we must question the source of those funds. We have had scandals for so long, and we don't know where the money the money has gone to. Where is the money coming from? And he writes that in all caps. This is JM Musoma. The so-called empowerment programs by Ruto is not justifiable because public resources must be used equitably, fairly, and sustainably be distributed, but there is no transparency or framework to reach out to the targeted population. It is nothing short of tokenism. I will have to end it there because I do have to make way for Sporty Monday. I want to thank my panelists this morning, Onesmus Gogoyo, MP Kajiado North, Dr. Martin Olo, Associate Dean, Daystar University School of Law. We have had Wilson Sossion, former nominated Member of Parliament, and Fred Okango, Strategic Advisor and Leadership and Governance Analyst. I've been your host, Olive Burrows. Sporty Monday up next.